is the Apparelist podcast, designed to bring you real-life conversation about high-level topics relevant to the decorated apparel community.
Welcome, all of you Apparelist people out there. I'm so excited to have everybody back for this month's podcast because we have a very special treat for all of you in this month's edition. Our guests have a pretty interesting and really fun story to share. It's a story that has been, for me personally, extremely fun to watch unfold over the last few years, but honestly, it goes back way further than that. These guys, this group of people, define the entrepreneurial spirit in every sense of the word. For me personally, again, I've gotten to know a few of them over the last few years, and let me just say they are a really fun, motivated group, and they probably know a thing or two about decorating apparel under pressure. Just going to throw that out there now, and hopefully all of you listeners can take away something today from their story. So friends, help me welcome the guys behind Culture Studio. We have joining us today, Rich Santo. He's the CEO.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having us. You got the whole Brady bunch on here with you. If you could only see the audio or the video, right?
Right. Hey, we like the Brady bunch, and I love that you refer to you guys as such.
That's showing your age now, Rich.
That's right. It sure is.
All right, well, let's meet the rest of the members then. We have Carlo Oviedo. He is the CRO.
Yes. What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Cassie's a homie, so anytime she asks us to do something, we are down.
I hope I don't take too much advantage of that, Carlo, but you know how it goes. We also have joining us Nick Santo. He's the Director of Logistics. Nick, thanks for joining.
Hi, thank you for having us. Excited to be on.
And finally, we have Joey Santo, who is the COO. Joey, thanks for jumping on.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, this is quite the group. So for anyone who has been following along with our podcast last few months or year even, Rich and Carlo have been with us before, and they have such a really, very, like I said, unique story to share because as most of you know, Culture Studio's heavily involved in the events, concerts, apparel space, that whole thing. Hold on, my child is in the view. Let me mute myself.
We've all had that before, right?
And yes, don't judge me. He is still in his pajamas. Just now the day.
I was gonna say he's going swimming or something.
It's summertime, right?
Yeah.
We're just trying to survive over here. Anyway, so let's pick up where we left off. So anyway, jumping back in. So guys, your story is pretty interesting. I've talked to Rich and Carlo a little bit about it. So let's go back, way back to the origin story of Culture Studio. Where you guys got started, how you came together, where did this massive name and business come from? Rich, let's start with you.
Yeah. Well, I can give, one quick, I guess, defining sentence is Carlo does have a different last name than us, but from our perspective is, a real blood brother. We grew up together. We've built businesses together. All of us got married around the same time together. We've all had kids together, changing the population single-handedly towards the female side. But so yes, Carlo is an adopted brother to our family. To us, he is family. But at least I can bring that Nick and Joe and myself, we go all the way back. And Carlo enters the picture right around 2005. And so, prior to being on the manufacturing side, we were a clothing brand, which is still the parent name of the company, which is called CHII, CHII. And, we're always into brand, and we were into fashion, and we thought, from our family's history of our grandfather actually had a screen printing company, totally separate from ours, but we did get the glimpse into how it is to actually do the craft of screen printing at a very young age. And I think we also got, I think, a very rare inside perspective on like what it takes to be an entrepreneur and what it takes to run a business. And even as you know, my daughter had a temporary tattoo, a little folding table shop in our cul-de-sac over the weekend, and you know, I kind of like looked at her, and then you know, Joey had his son Gino over today, and when they came back with like this pile of money, I was like, uh-oh, I think we have some entrepreneurs on our hands as well. But if I take it, you know, way back to that era of, you know, being 13 years old and going to work, you know, with my grandpa, which actually this is a picture, you know, I know we're on the audio, but you can kind of get a little glimpse there. Rather than going to summer camp, you know, we went to grandpa's shop and we just caught shirts off the belt, or, you know, refilled the RC, you know, vending machine so that he could make, you know, 18 more, you know, quarters off of the team members that work there. But we did get in, you know, a deep glimpse from a very young age on how to run a business. And so we applied that to like a luxury streetwear brand that we called Shy. And you know, we then partnered, being in the business of selling a streetwear brand, with doing the promotion and the entertainment, which was kind of like you know, a double part. You know, we made money throwing parties and being in essence you would call a promoter, and running nightclubs for quite some time, in which, you know, the brand Shy also had the ability to feed off of those nightclubs and the music and the DJs that we would book, the big artists that we would book. We would book celebrities to come and you know, do a performance or even just an appearance at one of our clubs, and they would be outfitted in our product. And so it was basically, you know, way before social media or anything else like that. Is like, you know, we basically took it into our own hands, and we built those two businesses at the same time. And that journey was from like 2005 all the way to 2008. Enter in all the rest of the brothers. And that's when we decided that we were going to make our own products. And so then Culture Studio was born as a factory.
Wow, that is an amazing journey. I love the family history part, which I find particularly intriguing because, of course, with a lot of businesses these days, and especially like small businesses, and even in the apparel industry particularly, there are big family businesses. However, yours goes back quite a ways. So maybe you can kind of attest to that, Joey or Nick. What has it been like working in something that's so rooted in not only your family's history, but then continuing to carry that legacy forward?
Yeah, I'll add. I think it's the best experience ever I mean, for me personally, and I'm sure I can speak for the rest of them. I mean, being able to try out different things as we're young, and different entrepreneurial spirit, and working together and be able to argue and still come to the same conclusion. You know, it's definitely a blessing, and you know, awesome to experience every day.
Yeah, and I think what we learned at a very young age is what not to do and how to separate things and how we all play our own strengths and we don't get in each other's way. So I think we learned that at a very young age, and that's what makes us even more successful today.
That's
Yeah, it's
interesting
almost like
because, yeah, last time, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
no, yeah, almost like coincidentally, like each of us had our own strength, you know, that we kind of went off of, you know, and stayed our lanes. And to this day, it's the same thing.
And I was going to ask because the last time Rich and Carlo were on with us, they talked a lot about company culture. And that was kind of one of the things you touched on. I mean, trying to build a company culture with not only like external employees, but also having family members being heavily involved. How do you balance that sort of thing? Carlo, coming in with that sort of mindset, how do you really see, how did you really mold Culture Studio and kind of mold that company culture into, making this work?
Yeah. Well, the reason why Rich started that off is everyone knows us as the four brothers, right? And that's kind of how we started the company. And I actually use this analogy this morning is like some people always ask, how do you run a business with your brothers or your family? Isn't that hard? Isn't that difficult? And I say, who better to go into war with than someone you know that's going to show up to fight? It's family, right? And I feel like every day for us is a war, and not like a bad war. It's a good war because we're trying to disrupt the classic industry. We always have from day one. We're like, this is old school. We love it. Let's go and disrupt. Let's see what we can do to bring some energy to it. And so it does feel like war every single day. 16 years in, we're still trying to disrupt and we're still trying to do things and push ourselves to the barrier. You mentioned the pressure that comes with this business. There's a lot of pressure, but who better to do it with than family? I know these guys are going to show up whether they want to or not. They got to be there. And can't say that for everyone else that is non-family. They have 16 days PTO that they can take. Us, we got to be here. Right? There's no work-life balance for us. So, no, I think these guys grew up smelling ink and probably Rich definitely ate some of that ink. He's missing a couple of stones, I'm sure, from that. But I came in, I think I kind of helped with the culture side and we really just came in with this energy. We came in with this energy that we want to do something great. And we never knew where that was going to take us, because we started with just us four, and definitely some good partners and friends along the way. But uh, we have that 8-color manual press still back there on the production floor, making money. That's just Joey's favorite press. I'll never let us get rid of it. And it's still actually running production today. So, yeah. So like that culture has always been of coming with energy and coming with just that winning spirit. We want to go out there and do something great. Whether this is something we pass on to family or not, we don't know. We really don't have that 5-year plan. I don't think any of us can think that far in advance. It's more like, I don't know, man, let's get through this week and next week and we'll figure out what happens. But yeah, I think like in the manufacturing industry, how do you make it fun? How do you make it something that you want to come to every day? And you got to have a good company culture. And it's something that you have to actually strive to have. You can't just say you want to have a good culture. You have to live it and breathe it every single day. And I think all of us being 16 years in, like we're all here, like we're on video right now, but I can run over there and smack Joey on the head in his office because we're here. We're here today. We're not playing golf. We're here ready to disrupt and make some noise.
You guys are 16 years in. There are bound to be some stories, some things that have happened over the years you didn't plan on, maybe some things that went wrong. So talk to me a little bit about the challenges you've had, maybe in the last few years, those big challenges that you really look at as defining moments. Rich, maybe you can start.
I mean, we could be here for a year talking about this. I think this is like Carlo mentioned. This is an element of war. It really is, and to continue to grow the business at this type of pace takes a serial killer's mindset. It really does. I mean, we spent the weekend on Slack. And Carlo asked me, what makes you, what did you say? What makes you so what?
Yeah. What's making you nervous? Or
Yeah. He's like, what's making you nervous? And I'm like, it's 200,000 square feet. It's more machinery. It's tighter deadlines. It's all that stuff. And then he followed up with another part. He's like, or is it that you're what, like me? What did you say?
Yeah. I'm like, or are you just like me, that you just like to be up against the wall and be bursting at the seams at every moment of the day?
Yes, I think we can get into, some like deep specifics, but it's more about being some type of savage on a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365-day basis. And we talked about, all of us, we got a lot of kids, but between this Brady bunch right here is quite a few of a next generation. I think it's going to be insane to see what they do, and like, will they choose this ferocious of a universe? Or will they choose to, like, make an app, or like a game, like Candy Crush, or like you know what I mean? Like, will they decide to take the easier path, or will they go into the heat of a constant, and like, maybe we can get into one of the stories is like, we continue to build these factories and hire top talent to join these other three incredible talents that are here with us today, and it's this roller coaster of upwards, and then you don't have the production one day, and then all of a sudden you have 108,000 units that need to get completed in 6 days, that is actually deemed impossible, like, is physically impossible. Joey's like, I ran my model. Carl's like, rerun the model, go back to the model once again. It's physically impossible, but some way, somehow, these incredible people, this incredible team that we put together, somehow finds a way to get stuff done. Maybe not always in the most elegant fashion, and some, dead bodies laying on the road along the way. But we continue to laugh about it. We continue to make it fun. We continue to, have like, we have like a very direct, high pace culture, but we're always saying things with a smile too. We're always saying, hey, we're going to do 108,000 units, and we're going to run 48 hours this weekend. And people are like, what? How is that even possible? Like, we're like, we're just going to do it. We're just like, we're going to make that happen. And somehow, some way, it comes out on the other side.
Wow. Joey, I heard your name come up there. So what are maybe some personal philosophies or defining moments that help carry you through? So maybe that does happen, right? Where you get the order and you're like, not physically impossible. What is it that runs through your head and your mindset when that happens?
Yeah, I mean, we run capacity reports, we run all kinds of data. And when it goes to me and Carlo pretty much says, you could throw that report out the window in lack of better terms. So I think what makes us successful is that even though it might be the impossible, we plan for every scenario. And it's much easier on the team when you go into it with a plan rather than go into it with chaos. Unloading 180 pallets of hoodies, which turn into 500 pallets of hoodies once they're unloaded, having the square footage, having the capabilities, was something we didn't have. But having a plan and then having the ability to, just keep everybody's nerves calm allows them to perform better. And I think that is the biggest takeaway, is that no matter what, if there's a plan and there's communication, you can make anything happen. And that's really what drives us.
Nick, from your perspective, I mean, what would you add, just coming from more of like that logistics side of things, anything that really strikes you?
Yeah, I think our being brothers, you can always kind of be a little bit direct to each other in a way, and I think that's a good dynamic. Human beings normally can just be comfortable and want to just keep with their way, or know what's the possibilities. But when you have four forces that are together and pushing and saying it's possible and there is a way, and exploring it and throwing things on a wall and seeing if it sticks and trying it again, and that's how we make the impossible possible. And then each person has their trait of like finding a different way to ship it, putting people on planes to get it there, putting it in a hockey bag and flying it, or driving it overnight, or controlling the logistics of it, or motivating the people on press to not do 500 an hour, but do 600 an hour. Like there is ways. So I think that's where us as a group, we're able to get that out of people. And that's where we see everything flourish.
Y'all have shared several stories about this, and one that has always stuck out in my mind is something, Carlo, you shared with me kind of early on in the launch of Apparelist, was what I have come to refer to personally as the Kanye West incident, where that just like it was just crazy, right? Like chaos is really all you can describe it. I would imagine there's some other pretty funny, maybe not challenging or like, quote unquote impossible moments. What are maybe some of the funniest moments, or just absolutely mind-blowing, you did not expect that to happen moments that you've experienced?
Yeah, funny. I don't know if there's any funny ones because it's always tied to some crazy ask or a crazy request. But I guess in hindsight, it's all hilarious. Like who plans like this? Like you can only laugh at everything that happens. But I mean, there are so many stories. I think one good one to share. It's kind of like it was a failure at first, but we flipped it and turned it into a success. And that's part of our culture too, because so many people, I guess, or maybe your competition, sometimes they'll look at that, they'll take that failure and just say, okay, that happened, and we just got to move on from it. We don't move on from it. We say, hold on, let's try again. Even when the customer or anyone else is saying like, no, guys, you failed. Like we're moving on. Okay, cool, but we're gonna keep trying over here. We're just gonna do it on our own. So there was one tour that we were doing a couple years back. You guys probably remember. It was One Direction. They're not together anymore. They split up. But at that point, massive tour, one of the biggest artists on the planet, of course. If it was up to us, we would just do boy bands. That's it. Like more boy production. That's it. They do the most volume. But anyway, the failure part, and Joey, you could probably speak to it, but it's like it was a full facial image album cover print, every color and flesh tone, and 16 colors that you can think of. This is the hardest thing in the world, right? And everyone says they want to enter into this industry. Not until you have to deal with an artist that wants to get his skin tone exactly right with ink. It's like not possible. It's so hard to do. Anyway, we tried and we sampled. It happened to be the one design that was going to do the most quantity, the biggest volume, and we just couldn't get it right. We couldn't get it approved, and we sampled it. I don't know how many times, Joey, 6 or 7 times. It just did not get approved. And then it got to the point to the client saying, all right, boys, you tried, we're going to move this on to somebody else. And, to us, like, that's the biggest hit you can take. Like, damn, like that's, first of all, we need that production. One of the hardest challenges, like Rich was mentioning, we have 24 automatics. Now you got to feed that beast. They're like, that's a lot of production. You got to keep those things running. So anyway, we lost that order. They took it away from us. We couldn't get it approved. And what we said was like, okay, we're going to take that on the chin. But on the behind the scenes, we recept and we tried again, and we keep setting up. Joey and his team kept producing, and we just kept sending samples. We're like, hey guys, we know you found someone else to do this. Someone else got it right. But just in case they can't handle that production or they run into issues, we want one approved sample right behind, sitting right behind in line just to back you up. And so long story short, we did get an approved sample, although they already started production with someone else. And because it's the music industry and it's so demanding and it's so hard, that person started to fail. And here we were ready to go with an approved sample and took the entire tour back, and ended up being one of the most successful production runs we've ever done. So it's a bit of a failure, but turning into a success.
Yeah. Wow. Unreal. First of all, I can't even wrap my head around trying to design something like that.
Right.
Jeez. No, that's really cool, because I really think if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, if you're going to get to the level you guys are at, you have to do that sort of thing. That seems like the mindset you almost have to have going into it.
Yeah. You'd think so. I mean, it's like you should have good customer service too, but most people don't, right? Like you could answer the phone when somebody calls, but go ahead and call some people and see if anyone answers the phone with a smile at least. Like it's such a simple game in so many areas. And for us, like not taking no for an answer, that's just part of our culture. Like we're gonna win. We're gonna win this one way or another.
I love that. Shifting gears a little, now we're in present day, right? You guys have had just like this massive growth, right? I've talked about it with you guys offline before. I've not seen the new Chicago expansion, but I did have the pleasure of visiting your Daytona location a couple months ago. And first of all, it's mind blowing to see such big production facilities. You said 24 auto presses. I mean, wow, first of all. But my big question is a lot of shops struggle to even grow into maybe, 5 or 6 autos, right? Like sustainable growth is not easy to achieve. So talk to me a little bit about that, Rich. Why is it you have found success in this massive growth? What's the secret sauce?
God, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there is an aha moment, you know. From our perspective, it's this relentless application of force. You know, Carlo and I just heard this term last week and we're like, so that's what it is. Like somebody actually defined this quite well for us, because it's something that we just get up and do every single day. But like what we're trying to do here and what our team is trying to do is something that we believe has never been done before. And we serve a purpose, like our purpose is to create incredible value for these artists and brands. And they wouldn't, have the ability to maximize revenue at a show or online or e-com or engage with their fans or build their brand or fill in the blank, if these facilities weren't being built. And so I think there's an element of a little higher power than just us, and we're all on this pursuit. And so we could say things to our team like, yeah, it's supposed to be hard. And yes, we're going to take on this other 50,000 square feet. And certainly it could have been far easier to just say, hey, Daytona's a big giant facility and we just did that last year. Why would you want to do this one again? And so it is only with the customer in mind that we do that. And it's also there's an element of perpetuity that exists in our minds, is that we are trying to build something that is sustainable for the rest of its life. Whether or not one of us fall right off of the train and get run over by it, who is still to be seen. All I know is well, if somebody else jump, we all go at the same time, right? So if I can be positive of that. Which one of us even put the damn parachute on will be the question. But it's the brand, which encompasses the technology and encompasses the physical assets, which I think the tech doesn't necessarily get the right amount of respect often that it does. The big giant machinery is what everybody kind of looks at and says, oh my God, it's 24 autos and 200,000 square feet. And that is dwarfed by the investment in tech. So if you looked at us as an organization, you consider a technology company over a physical asset company, if you look purely at the spend in CapEx. But it is those two things in combination that we're continuing and trying to build as an element of perpetuity. Like this thing should go on and continue to create value for those brands and artists forever and ever. So I think when you look at it in that manner, of course you're going to have to expand. We had product sitting in the loading dock For those that visited in 2024 Chicago, they saw product in the load. Hey, what is that? And we're like, oh, that's inbound. And so you have to make those decisions. It's almost like they're made for you. And with the understanding that it's not going to be easy. It is going to be really, really hard to fill this thing. And but the decision has been made. If you didn't do it, then it's a different company, like you'd have to take the logo down, because the values and the intention of the organization, we're going to do something no one's ever done, but yet we're going to decrease size. That doesn't fit, and so you'd almost have yourself a Chipotle moment, where it's, or a Subway moment, right? Where it's like, wait, it's eat fresh, but it comes out of a bag. I don't get it, so, I guess that is the definition of why we've done it, is like the answer was made for us.
Wow. I love that. Nick, Joey, anything you guys want to add in that perspective?
No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, that definitely summed up it all.
Carlo, anything else you want to add on that topic of just
Yeah, on the like, he nailed it. Yeah, he nailed it on that. But on like the question of like growth and why others may or may not want to, I don't know if it's a healthy decision for other people.
I agree. There's a thing called the sweet spot.
Yeah, like I actually was just at an event last week, surrounded by 25 other shops, and growth isn't always good. It isn't always the answer. It's not. It doesn't mean you're going to be happier. It doesn't mean it's going to be more profitable. There isn't more money. So it isn't the answer for everyone, for sure. It's not the right answer always. But for us, like Rich just summed it up perfectly. That it is for us, but it isn't always the right move. I know that. I remember when we first started, you guys remember we went to like this summit. We were young. We had 2 automatic presses, and there are a lot of like older people in the room that have been doing this for a long time. And we asked like, what advice would you give us? And these are all like seasoned vets. And they're like, don't get over 4 automatic presses. That's our advice.
That's the sweet spot.
That's sweet spot. 4 autos.
3, I think.
Boy, did we not take, we didn't take that advice, but yeah, I mean, from his perspective, it's like, hey, after 4, it's too many.
I think you're a little above 4 at this point.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Couple. All right, Joey, if you had to gaze into the crystal ball, where do you see Culture Studio? I know y'all have said, oh, it's too hard to look 5 years from now. That's fine. It is. I get that. But if you could envision the future, what does it look like? What is it to you?
Oh man. Well, unfortunately, Rich has the crystal ball. I just perform all the duties inside of it.
For those who can't see, Rich is holding a crystal ball, a physical crystal ball.
I live inside the crystal ball, which isn't crystal on the inside. It's more like coal. So I don't typically plan the future. That's definitely more of Rich and Carlo. I more live in the now and what's happening, the next few days and weeks and months. But I think as far as us, more like what Rich was talking about, the tech side, getting more efficient with technology, definitely utilizing more AI capabilities, definitely using more robotic capabilities, making it easier for the team members. It is screen printing. There's 1.5 million variables. So anything we can do to reduce the amount of variables and to continue to build quality and efficiencies and things that are sustainable, is my focus.
If I could add about this crystal ball looks 0 into the future, that the crystal ball is only connecting the dots backwards. And Annabelle, who leads our HR team, she got this thing for me because this is only a physical in whatever collectible that tells you not to do the same thing that has never worked before in the past. It's just a symbol of pattern recognition. If you go, if we go and, hey, we found somebody really great, we really want to hire them, but they're not a culture fit. I could just whip this crystal ball out and tell you with complete certainty that it won't end well. But it doesn't look in the future. It only simply looks backwards and tells you historically, there's no way that this works out. So just attempt something different and somehow, some way it'll work out.
Love that. Guys, where can all of our amazing audience listeners connect with culture, with you personally? Rich, we can start with.
I mean, we're wildly accessible. So we're pretty much everywhere. Our emails are really simple as well, just our name. But also I think LinkedIn is an underutilized asset still. Even though LinkedIn has, certainly become the leader for like, business to business, socially, I guess you'd say, but we love to hunt for top talent on LinkedIn, and we're always looking for people to join our team or opportunities or things we don't know about, and that's like really like I would say our platform of choice.
All right, cool. Well, that's easy enough. And then if anybody listening doesn't know, you guys also have a podcast that I personally really enjoy tuning into. There's lots of cool things that you guys share often. You guys have some great guests. So I also encourage all of the people who listen to a Peerless podcast to also tune into yours. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like we could go hours and hours and talk about this and share funny stories. Hopefully our listeners got some good stuff out of this. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.